Good morning, folks, and welcome. Morning Chassidus. For those that are with us right now, it's perhaps before davening, a good prep for our prayers. Morning Chassidus. And for some of you, like in Australia, something to think about before you go to sleep. But whatever time of day, it's always wonderful to be together and to learn Chassidus. So we are continuing with our Maimer Hasidic discourse. Kol Yisrael Yeshim Chelik Le'elam Haba, explaining the uniqueness, the difference of the future. The future is bright. After 120, there's Garden of Eden. And hopefully today, God willing, today, there's Mashiach, Messianic Era. And in that, there's two time periods. Second time period, Tchias HaMesim, resurrection of the dead. As difficult that might be for some people to envision. But with today's modern medicine, it's not so far-fetched anymore. In any case. We are explaining the difference between Torah, study of Torah, what we're doing now, and mitzvahs. Torah is the soul, mitzvahs is the body. What's greater, the soul or the body? Well, it depends. In functionality, the soul's greater because soul gives vitality to the body. In functionality, we need Torah to give us life, to give life, to give us life in the mitzvahs that we do. But on the other hand, it's for the sake of the mitzvah. And the soul is to give vitality to the body. So in Hasidic terms, what that means is there's two perspectives. There's the way things are in a revealed functional way here. And functionally, the soul is loftier than the body. But the ultimate purpose is the body over the soul. In this, at least in this world, right? Or not just in this world, but in an ultimate purpose. So it's in its root source, the body is greater. In the end, so to speak, which is rooted in the beginning, right? The body is greater. And we understand that further by the fact that the soul, the Jewish soul, it's Jewish. It's different. So just like a father loves his own child, so God loves the Jewish soul. By the way, that doesn't mean there's not love beyond that for other souls, non-Jewish souls, but it's a different makeup, which is not the discussion now. But there's an affinity. A father has an affinity to his own child, naturally so. We live in a corrupt world today that might not be so natural anymore. Right? I think still it's, primarily that's the case. So the soul because of the natural affinity that there is to our Father in heaven, God has to the Jewish soul, and therefore we are like children of Hashem. as opposed to the body. No natural affinity to it, because the physical body, right? The physical body is, nothing special about it. But yet God chooses it, not because of its specialness. And this is a very powerful point that is hard for us to fathom, because we live in a world of functionality. We live in a world of the way things are revealed and perceived, and we perceive things, for its value, for its goodness, for its how beneficial it is, and so on. You know, that's the human condition, but that's not God's condition. And by the way, we also have that condition too, which is uniquely Jewish. Uniquely Jewish, this concept. And that is God chose because he chose, because he chose, because that's what he desired to choose. Why? Because that's what he wants. No, for a reason. And it's very important. So why did he choose it? Because obviously it's special. That's why you choose it. Right? Well, isn't that why we choose things? Yes. That's not why God chooses things. And by the way, we can also be that way because as a result of God being that way, we have a piece of him in us. Again, that's uniquely a Jewish idea, though. Or uniquely Chabad Chassidus in particular, that gives an understanding to the idea. So God chose the body, not because of its virtue, because so he desires, that he chose the Jewish body and sanctifies it. As a result of that, there's like laws about Jewish body after your time on earth, or when you're on earth, no tattoos. Right? That's a consequence. That's only a consequence. It's not, what creates the reality, right? No tattoos, um, a burial to the body, and so on and so forth. But the point over here is that he chose it freely, not being compelled, as opposed to the father chooses his son or child, his child, because he's compelled to, because the nature of a father is to choose your son, which we get that. So is it really an expression of the depths of the father to choose his son, his child? No. Not to say it's not important and extremely important, but it doesn't express the true um, uncompelled choice. Because now it's based on something that's value, of something that's comparable. Well, the child to the parent is the father. There's something comparable. But when God chooses the body, it's not because of it's comparable, not because it's of its value. Because then, if it's based on value, well, then, how much value? As Winston Churchill once said, everybody has their price. How much value do you value yourself? Right? But if it's based on God choosing, then it's not based on value. It becomes actually invaluable as a result, and it becomes absolute in God's choice. Okay, that's vis-a-vis. Now let's take that metaphor, though, right? I'm bringing, and that was all a metaphor, even though in and of itself it's an important understanding, but that's all a metaphor for us to appreciate the difference between Torah and mitzvahs. Torah is something close to God because it's his wisdom. It's the way he sees things, perceives things. But then there's his will, which is absolute, that is not comprised on on value, but it's based on he desires it. So mitzvahs, he desires it. Why? Because he desires it. That's his will. It's not a will based on reason. Most of the things that we desire are based on reason, but not everything. And here we can have this aspect in our lives also based on the fact that we have a piece of God in us. So as a result of that, therefore, mitzvahs are something that are equally obliged to everybody. Why? Well, because it's not based on reason. If it's based on reason, so based on that logic, so then, well, it'll be more applicable to one person and less to another. Well, that's Torah actually is more applicable to one person and less to another. Torah scholar has much more of an obligation than the non-Torah scholar in study. The non-Torah scholar who goes to work dutifully every day, well, has an obligation in the morning and in the evening to spend some time. Now, that time is also pending. It might be only time that they have for a paragraph. For another person, it might be the 20 minutes we spend right now, half an hour, whatever it is, right? That might be it. So it's all, it's scaled. Why? Because it's based on some rationality, but not mitzvahs. Mitzvahs are expression of God's will. So how much does God want Shabbos? Well, for you, you're more spiritual. So for you, Shabbos is more important. So, you're more spiritual. So, you observe it. You're not so spiritual, so, you don't have to observe it so much. No, equally, no difference. There's no difference in the act of observing Shabbos, in the heartfeltness of Shabbos, in the connectivity in the heart and so on. That's a different story. We're talking about the actual physical observance. Don't turn on the light. Who's that a command to? To the Moses of the generation only, because he's so spiritual? But the person who is, forgetful and is, no, it's equal. No difference. No difference. Why? Because it's based on the absolute will of God. So, as opposed to divine wisdom, there's gradations in it. In the wisdom itself, there's different levels. There's pardes, simple meaning of something, like Chumash and Rashi. There's the hinted meaning. There's the homiletic, the drush. Sometimes Rashi will bring down. There's the mystical meaning, and of course Chassidus. Now, based on this, we could say that the study of Torah and the fulfillment of mitzvahs in actuality, right? That, as we said, the fulfillment of mitzvahs is for every Jew, even those that are called Poshei Yisrael, that are called sinners of Israel. Who those sinners, by the way, are full of mitzvahs, just as a pomegranate is full of seeds. As opposed to the study of Torah, right? That it's possible that you can have something that you're lacking in your study in a revealed manner. Right. And legitimately lacking because that's not your, your end in the study of Torah. So maybe, you just learn Chumash or Rashi, you only know the simple meaning, and that's what you are capable, and that's what your focus is, and so on. As opposed to mitzvahs, which are the absolute will of God, that are connected to the body, as the body is the absolute choice of God, right? To imbue it with holiness, not because of its virtue, right? But because this is what he wants. Why does he want it? Because he wants it. How much does he want it? Well, as much as he is absolute. So he wants it absolutely. The body, which is the metaphor for mitzvahs, which then is expressing atzmus, the essence of God. And therefore, the fulfillment of mitzvahs is Chol Israel, every Jew. And with this, now we can understand Kol Israel Le'Hashem Chelik Le'Olam Haba. Why is it that every Jew has a portion in the world to come, Eilam Atchia, the world of resurrection, right? Even though the revelations of Eilam Haba are so much loftier than Gan Eden, so usually to a more you want to make a reservations at a very special place. There's more conditions. Black tie. You got to come. It's a black tie place. You can't come there with your t-shirt. It's more conditional. It's a loftier, more elegant place. Well, which we get that. So even though Gan Eden, in the world to come, times of Mashiach, though, it's more lofty. So therefore, you think there's more conditions and how you're going to get there, how you're going to have a portion in that world, as opposed to the revelations in Gan Eden, right, where it's only a ray of light that is being drawn to the souls that are there. Yet we see it's the opposite, as we've explained, right? That it's more conditional to go into Gan Eden and less conditional that it's Kol Israel, every single Jew. Because why? So now, based on everything we explained, right? That was our original question. It's based on what we've just explained, because Gan Eden is primarily the revelation of the Torah that you've learned in this world. Right? That's what's going to be revealed to you. That's what it says. Ashrei mi shebab Talmud biyadei. Fortunate is a person that comes and his Torah study is in hand when you come to Gan Eden. Why? Because the Torah study you're learning now, you're going to get which you don't experience the godliness in it. You may experience maybe the warmth and the truth of it, and and it touches us, but it's touching us, but not the godliness in it, in the way it will be experienced in Gan Eden. Far be it to what we're going to experience, right? We have the essence of God here, but we're not experiencing it. We're not even experiencing the ray of light. We're experiencing what we think we experience. But there in Gan Eden, we're going to experience it. It's going to be a revelation, but it's based on Torah. And as we said, Torah, there's gradations. So guess what? We're not going to have an equal experience in Gan Eden. Won't be equal. There will be distinction. As opposed to Eilam Haba, in the world to come, the world of Tchiyah, there the Gilui will be of mitzvahs that we fulfill today. And since the fulfillment of mitzvahs is every single Jew does mitzvahs, every Jew does. As we said, even those who are Paishe Israel, which means sinners, and Paishe means not inadvertent sinners. We all do inadvertent things, and we don't mean to, right? And we have regret. Paishe Israel means like you mean to sin. And yet they're also full of mitzvahs. as a pomegranate is full of seeds. This is a revelation in the Elam Atchiyah that will be to all souls, and specifically in a body, because the mitzvah is primarily connected to what? To the body. My tefillin has to go on an arm. Lighting Shabbos candles is, you need a hand to light the candle. Making Kiddush on Shabbos and eating challah and good foods on Shabbos to have the pleasure of Shabbos has to be done in the physical. So therefore, how will the experience be of that in the world to come? In the times of Mashiach will be a soul in a body, as opposed to Gan Eden, which Gan Eden is primarily a soul, is a soul experience. Why? Because it's based on Torah, basically, and Torah is a soul experience, right? I mean, yes, we're a soul in a physical body, obviously, but primarily it's a soul experience. It's one of the mind of understanding and comprehending, right? It's not about physically doing something. Well, you got to physically pay attention, yes, but if you're not paying attention, so that's just a and that's not even physical. That's just the mental focus. So it's primarily that of the spirit of the person as opposed to the physicality of the person. But the mitzvahs is in the physicality. So therefore, that's why in Gan Eden it is souls. Therefore, this is also the idea what our sages say. So great is the study of Torah because it brings to action. That the study will bring to the action through the greatness of study, right? According to this, then that the virtue of Torah that will be in the world to come, Torah Mashiach. There's two ideas over here. Then there will be the revelation of the completion of Torah from its own stead, and the virtue of Torah as it is brings vitality into mitzvahs. Likewise for the soul, and also, okay, we'll continue this tomorrow. All right, a lot there. All right, folks, we'll see you soon.